Hello, everyone. I'm meteorologist Scotty Powell here with a update on severe weather. Watching a severe thunderstorm in the Chester County area of South Carolina. In fact, the updated severe thunderstorm warning is talking about the potential of a tornado. So we're going to go ahead and break into coverage here and let you know that they're about this weather. So give me just a second to pull this up. I want to make sure that we are cross-posting to our pages here. Just give me 1 second here. And we will get going here. So I think we are cross-posted now. Wanted to go ahead and do this before maybe a potential tornado warning was issued. But again, let's go ahead and dive into the radar here and let you look at what's going on. We are watching this storm right now moving into Chester County. So if you live in Chester, I want you to go ahead and get in those storm shelters right now as this thunderstorm is moving into the area, and it is showing some rotation. In fact, we've had some storm spotters in that area say to the fact that there's the potential of a rotating wall cloud there. So we want to go ahead and jump on this, trying to get our Facebook page pulled up here on my phone. So if you have any questions, I can monitor those. But again, the potential for a severe thunderstorm that has the potential of producing a tornado could be moving into the Chester County area. So if you live in Chester, in the community of Chester, we want you in your storm safe place. So we are monitoring this. It was answering a in chat service here that we have with the weather with our Carolina Weather Group folks. So again, let's make sure that you're in your storm place, storm safe shelter. If you are in the south, and this is nasty, guys. Again, probably a tornado warning to be issued here just south of Chester. Let me get into a 2-panel here. This is starting to really wrap up here. In fact, maybe a little bit better to let's check out the Columbia radar, see what the Columbia radar is showing here. It's going to take just a minute for this to load up. So again, this is where we're watching this right here. This is going to be just south of Chester along Highway 321 and Highway 97. So if you live just south of Chester, just north of Cornwell, I want you in your safe places right now as a potential tornado is developing. This is going to be moving along just north of Cornwell. So if you live in Cornwell, you need to be in your safe place. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning is out, but this storm is really starting to get an uptick in rotation. So I want you to go ahead and be in your safe places right now if you live in this area. Again, I think we just got the tornado warning issued. Tornado warning issued now for Chester County. This goes until 7 o'clock. At 6:34, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 10 miles east of Chester near Richburg, moving east at 55 miles per hour. So again, this is a tornado warning cell near Richburg, moving east at 55 miles per hour. Getting reports here of a quarter-size hail on Highway 9 outside of Chester. So again, if you are in that area of Chester and Cornwell and Richburg, you need to be in your safe place. So here is the tornado warning. It's got this appendage here. This is where we're watching. So we've got inflow winds coming in, and we have the rear flank downdraft moving through. So again, if you live near Richburg, you need to be in your safe place. This goes out to Fort Lawn as well. This would eventually be crossing over Interstate 77. So if you live in those areas, we need you in your safe place immediately as this potential tornado is moving into that area. Sorry, I didn't mean to exit out of the radar there. So again, if you live in Cornwall, you need to be in your safe place. Um, Safe place is the most interior part of your home. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Uh, Make sure that you have some sort of helmet, that you have some sort of helmet to protect you. I'm going to try to pick out some communities here that's going to be moving into. Again, so if you are along Highway 97, Highway 321, we have Highway 44 in this area. Great Falls Highway, this is going to be moving just outside of Chester, South Carolina. This is a developing tornado that is tornado warned right now. A lot of rotation on that cell, as you can see here on the radar. We do have the potential here for a tornado. So we want to make sure that you are in your safe place. Again, that is the lowest level of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You want to make sure that you potentially have a helmet, that you have some sort of protection for your eyes. You want to make sure that you're wearing some shoes, like if there is any debris and you need to be walking outside, that you have protection for your feet. Again, lowest level of your home. If you have a basement, that's preferably where you want to go. But if you don't, you want to be in the most inner part of your house. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And you want to kind of get like in a basement hallway closet, something along those lines, because of the potential for this tornado. So a tornado warning now issued for Chester County. This is radar indicated. Tornado warning for Chester County, South Carolina until 7:15. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing tornado was located 9 miles southeast of Chester or 5 miles southwest of Richburg, moving to the east at 55 miles per hour. So again, if you live in this area of South Carolina, if you live near the Fort Lawn area, if you live in Richburg, you're probably getting a lot of hail right now in the Richburg area. If you live in Fort Lawn, you need to be in your safe place. If you live out of Chester, you are clear. The storm is off to your east. But again, if you live in the Fort Lawn, Richburg area, you need to be in your tornado shelter as this storm continues to move to the east at 55 miles per hour. Looking at some of your questions here, I don't see any questions again. So this is going to be, this is Interstate 77. So this is going to cross over 77 here in the next few minutes. And you definitely want to be off of Interstate 77. So if you know anyone traveling between, let's say Charlotte and Columbia, you want to make sure, or Charlotte and Great Falls, you want to make sure that they are pulled off in a safe place. Never pull under underpasses. You want to make sure that you pull off the interstate, find a sturdy structure to get into as this storm continues to quickly move off to the east around 55 miles per hour. So I'm looking at this view from the Columbia radar. I'm going to stop this and I'm going to share with you what it looks like from the Greenville, South Carolina radar. So we'll give you kind of two perspectives here of this rotation. So it's kind of dirty looking. We're a little bit further away from the Greenville, South Carolina radar. So let's go back to the Columbia radar. It's just a little bit more cleaner to look at least the rotation. So again, right in this area, we can kind of see this little appendage, this little inflow notch. That's where we're starting to get some inflow winds moving in. And then behind it, we have the rear flank downdraft, and that creates some damage and wind. So this is going to be, if you're in Richburg right now, you're seeing a lot of hail falling in this area. This is on Interstate 77. So I would imagine that there's probably some cars here that's encountered a pretty significant rainstorm with hailstones mixed in with that. The rotation is going to be passing just to the south of Richburg, but you still need to be in your shelter because this rotation could move just a slight bit to the north and include Richburg. But again, if you are in Richburg, you need to be in your safe place right now. Lowest level of your home, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Make sure you have some type of protection for your head, preferably a helmet. But if you don't have one of those, just put a big thick blanket, some sort of pillow, mattress, something like that. Just protect your head from any flying debris as well as your eyes. So if you have any glasses, goggles, anything like that, make sure you put them on to protect your eyes from any flying debris. So again, this is going to be the rotation. It's getting ready to move over Interstate 77. This is going to be near, let's see, the Blackstock community, Highway 97. Let's see if we can zoom in here, some roads. Aiken Creek Road, Great Falls Highway. If you live in that vicinity, you need to be in your safe shelter. This is near Blackstock, White Oak as well. You need to be in your safe place in those communities as this rotation could be passing over. Again, next locations that could see this that you need to be, go ahead and get in your storm shelter: Great Falls, Mitford, Richburg, Fort Lawn, and then eventually maybe even to Springdale and Lancaster as this tornado warning cell continues to move to the east around 55 miles per hour. Again, this is going to be in Chester County, getting ready to move over Interstate 77. So if you live in that area, you want to be in your storm shelter right now as this potential tornado warning cell moves through. Let me look in. The rotations come down just uh, right in here. You can kind of see the rotation. I'm getting a lot of alerts here in my ear from the Weather Service. Let me read through some of these reports here. Golf ball size hail being reported 3 miles outside of Chester. This is going to be along Highway 9 east of Chester. So again, that's golf ball size hail. And this report is saying the hail goes on for miles along the roadway. So golf ball size hail being reported there outside of Chester. So again, this tornado warning for Chester County goes until 7:15. This is eventually about to pass over. This could pass over the Interstate 77 area as it moves along to the east around 55 miles per hour. In fact, I see a video here posted of the hail that is being reported. This is from the Carolina Storm Spotters, and let me see if I can screen share this for you. Let me see. Here we go. So here you can see this hail. This is being reported outside of this storm. Look at how large those hailstones are. So that is from the Carolina Storm Spotters. Thank you for that video right there. You can kind of see the hail that is being produced from this thunderstorm, the supercell thunderstorm that could potentially be producing a tornado. So let's get back to the radar here. Again, if you live in the Great Falls community, if you live in Fort Lawn, you want to be in your storm shelter. Richburg, you want to be in your storm safe place as well as this tornado warning continues to move. This is going to be moving right over Interstate 77 right now. This tornado warning is going to be moving eventually potentially into Lancaster County. And there's already a severe thunderstorm warning issued for Lancaster County. So we'll it's kind of weird. It switches over to the Columbia Weather Office once it moves into the Lancaster County area. So we will see what they choose to do with this storm. So this storm has a history of producing, again, golf ball size hail, but again, a potential tornado. We did have a report earlier from some storm spotters of a rotating wall cloud, and then I even seen one report of a funnel cloud from the storm. But again, here's the rotation. This is the notch that we are looking for. We got inflow winds, and then we have the rear flank downdraft, and it's kind of wrapping up into some rotation here that could potentially produce a tornado. So this bright purple color, that's going to be your hail core. We can go in there and let's see what that hail size looks like. We're looking at almost 3-inch diameter hail. So I can't remember right off the top of my head, but that's around baseball size hail, I believe, out of this storm. So that is concerning if you live in Richburg, and eventually this is going to move into Fort Lawn. This is just now the rotation passing over Interstate 77 right now. This storm, if you know anyone that is traveling on 77 between Charlotte and Winsboro, you want to make sure that they are in their store or they're off Interstate 77 into a safe place, because this rotation is going to be passing right over Interstate 77. So again, this tornado warning goes until 7:15. It is 6:47 right now, and we are monitoring this tornado warned storm that is going to be moving into the Fort Lawn area, eventually into Lancaster County. So again, Great Falls, you are also included in this warning. So you want to be in your safe place. Fort Lawn, you're in this warning. Richburg, you are in the warning. So you all want to be in your safe places. Let me see if I can get some roads here. Pulling up a map off to the side here. So we are looking at, let's see, we have Highway 355, Highway 901 moving into this area, Highway 138, that's going to be seeing this rotation, State Road 2052 as well. So this is going to be passing over Interstate 77 right now. As this storm continues, this tornado warned storm continues to move to the east around 55 miles per hour. So you can kind of see this dark core really starting to wrap up again. So if you're in Great Falls, you need to be in your storm shelter right now. Great Falls, you can kind of see this appendage developing right here. That's cycling back up. The rotation is, we can really see this hell core developing, a lot of lightning developing as well. That shows the storm's intensifying. So if you live in Great Falls, if you live in Fort Lawn, you definitely need to be in your storm shelter right now as this tornado warned storm continues to move over Highway Interstate 77. It's kind of running parallel with Highway 97. So if you live in Highway 97 area, just to the east of Interstate 77, you need to be in your safe place. Again, a developing tornado likely crossing 77 in Chester County, just south of Richburg. You need to take shelter right now. The Weather Service saying that folks in this area need to be in shelter right now, as this is a likely developing tornado with this storm. Let's see, looking through some of our reports here, going back and forth between the Greenville-Spartanburg office and the Columbia office. Let's see. And so the Columbia office talking about they may issue a tornado warning eventually as the cell continues moving to Lancaster County, South Carolina. So just reading the reports here out of the Columbia office. So we're going back and forth. This is kind of a transition zone between the Greenville, South Carolina office in the Columbia office. So here at the radar, though, you can kind of see this storm is really starting to hook. We got this inflow notch, this core right here. This is your hail core. So if you live in Fort Lawn, that hail core is going to be moving right over you. So you want to make sure that you have those cars in your safe place, and you're in your safe place as well, because this is producing potentially some really large hail as it's getting ready to move over into the Great Falls community. Again, you need to be in your safe place. I cannot stress enough, this is a very nasty looking signature for a tornado. This is most definitely a classic tornado signature on radar. Haven't got any reports of a tornado being on the ground, but in fact, I'm taking a screenshot of this as we look at it. So again, this is pretty nasty here as it moves into the Great Falls community. So if you live there in Great Falls, you need to be in your storm shelter, your safe place right now, as this potential tornado is moving into your area. This is classic look of a radar indicated tornado from this supercell that's continuing to move off to the east around 50 to 55 miles per hour. So again, you need to be in your safe place if you live in this area. South Carolina been prone to so many tornadoes this year. And it looks like we could add on to the count, as this is a very nasty looking cell that is moving um, into now Lancaster County here in South Carolina. So I'm going to look at some different radar products here. Again, we're not in the best location for radar coverage. It seems like I'm always talking about that. Not the best radar coverage zone. You know, where this storm's located, we have the Columbia and the Greenville, South Carolina office. These are right on the edges of that. We continue to kind of talk about this radar gap coverage. And unfortunately, it seems like we find ourselves in these gaps again, but you can really see here in the reflectivity mode, Great Falls, you need to be in your safe place right now. Let me pull up some locations here in Great Falls. This is Mountain Island, Big Island, Pendergrass Boulevard, Chester Avenue, Great Falls Highway, the Edgewater Golf Club. You need to be in your safe place as this storm is quickly moving off to the east around 50 miles per hour. This is going to be passing over near the Edgewood Golf Club. So if you live in that area between Fort Lawn and Great Falls, you need to be in your safe place. Fishing Creek Lake. If you know anyone out on the lake there along Highway 21, you need to make sure that they are in off the lake as this supercell continues to move off, and really classic look of a potential tornado developing in this area. Looking again through the chat here. Still just some hail reports. Not really hearing any damage reports from winds. That's a good sign. But again, this storm's just now moving through, so that could potentially change as we go out throughout the next few minutes. 631, kind of an old report, but that was talking about the funnel cloud with rotation in Chester County. Again, looking at the Weather Service in Columbia, they've not sent an update out yet, but there's the potential they could issue that tornado warning for Lancaster County as the storm continues to move. This is going to be moving really between Fort Lawn and Great Falls. You need to be in your storm shelter. Again, this is on the line between the Columbia office and the Greenville office. That is where we are kind of passing the ball per se from one weather office to the other. So we'll see what happens as this storm continues to move into the Lancaster County area. So if you live in Lancaster County, be on guard for the potential of a tornado warning being issued. But again, if you live in Great Falls, here's our rotation. This is moving right along Highway 97. Eventually, it's going to be moving around Highway 21. So the intersection of Highway 97 and Highway 21, that rotation is going to be passing right over that area, just north of the town of Great Falls. But if you're in Great Falls, you definitely need to be in your storm shelter. If you live in Great Falls, again, you need to be in your storm shelter, away from windows, lowest part of your home, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible as this tornado warning cell moves through Chester County and then eventually into Lancaster County. Another point I want to highlight, just south of Fort Lawn, you can kind of see here on the radar, this purplish area. This is where the large hail is falling. We could see anywhere between golf ball, maybe even ping pong golf ball size hail. That will definitely do some damage to homes and cars. So you want to be in shelter. Again, this is going to be moving into Lancaster County very soon. I just got another alert here in my ear. So a tornado warning now being issued for Kershaw and Lancaster County until 7:30. This is from the weather office in Columbia at 6:55. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Great Falls, or 12 miles southwest of Lancaster, moving to the east at 45 miles per hour. So again, that is a tornado warning now for Lancaster and Kershaw counties and South Carolina. Our good friend Chris Jackson tweeting out just about 45 seconds ago a brief funnel about 5 minutes ago, west or southwest of Great Falls, from his location there at the Fishing Creek Reservoir. No longer have visual. He is repositioning. So again, Chris Jackson, friend of ours, reporting funnel cloud in that storm that we've been following here. So again, the tornado warning continues for Kershaw County and Lancaster County until 7:30. Kershaw, South Carolina, Heath Springs, Westville, South Carolina, some of the cities and towns in the path of this tornado warning. So again, just looking through our Twitter feeds here, continuing, you're looking at radar while I'm looking through the radar or the Twitter feed here to let you know what we are seeing here via Twitter. If I see any pictures or anything like that, I'll definitely let you know. Okay, so here we go. This is South Carolina weather. You can kind of see the lower clouds here. So let me see if I can screen share this for you. You can see right here the low clouds here with this cell. So this cell is moving through. This cell is moving through Chester into Lancaster County, because you can see the lower level, how low the cloud bases are here as that tornado warning cell moves through Chester County into Lancaster County. So if you live in those areas, you definitely want to make sure that you are in your storm shelter, that you are hopefully in a basement, but if not, in a most centralized part of your home. So again, looking back at the radar here, this is passing over Great Falls right now. So if you are in Great Falls, you're in the midst of this storm. Christy is in Great Falls, and she's seeing some scary looking clouds. So thank you for that report, Christy. Let me know what's going on if you can. If you're staying safe, let me know what's going on there. So Christy, thank you for that report. Again, these storms are continuing to move through South Carolina. If you live in North Carolina, you know, everything's good. We do have a few severe thunderstorm warnings over the upstate that we will look at here in just a second, but I want to keep our attention on this cell as it is now moving into Lancaster County, and it's still showing some good signs of rotation. So you need to be on guard here. If you're in Heath Springs, Kershaw, Westville, you need to go ahead and be headed to your storm shelters, your storm safe place. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Make sure you have a helmet, some sort of goggles or anything to keep your eyes protected from any flying debris. But again, this is a very nasty looking cell on radar. You can kind of see the inflow, a lot of lightning. This purple core right here is where your heaviest, largest hail is going to be. This is going to be just south of Springdale. The rotation moving through Great Falls, South Carolina right now. So if you live in that area, the brunt of the storm moving through right now, we hope that you are safe and that you are in your storm place, your storm shelter, as this storm continues to move through the area. So again, please be underground if you're in the Great Falls community, as this storm continues to rotate and could potentially be producing a tornado. Our friend Chris Jackson out in the field did report a funnel cloud just a little bit ago as it was moving into Great Falls, but it kind of got where his location was, he kind of got into the rain and the heavy rain and lost the visual. So he is repositioning. So I'll continue to monitor the Twitter feeds here to see if I see any damage or any wind or hail reports. But again, looking at the weather service, let's see. Looking at the weather service, see what anything coming out of that office. I don't see anything. Looking back, I'm going to keep the radar here on this cell, but I do want to say there's a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for Cherokee, Spartanburg, and Union counties in South Carolina. That goes until 7:45. That storm producing up to 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. So that storm we will continue to monitor. But right now, this tornado warning cell continuing to move through the Great Falls community. Again, we don't have the best location for radar with this storm. Uh, but again, just looking at the velocities here, you can kind of see that rotation there moving through the Great Falls community. Again, pretty classic look to what you would see radar-wise with a tornado-warned storm, with this inflow being sucked into the storm, and then you kind of get this rear flank downdraft. That's where you see a lot of the damaging winds from. So again, this purplish area up here, that's your large hail core, up to 2.5 inch diameter hail. Let's go over here to our hail product, and we can see what is producing here. Yeah, anywhere between 2.5 inch diameter hails. Let's get to our rotation product here, and you can kind of see that rotation picking up pretty good here just outside of the Great Falls community as it moves into a more rural area of Lancaster County. But again, you need to be in your safe place if you find yourself in this tornado warning. Some of the towns or some of the roads that are associated with this would be Highway 97. You're looking at Cedar Creek Road, eventually Hoke Road, State Highway 2934, the Dry Creek area. This is passing into a more rural part of Lancaster County, but again, some folks that live here, so you definitely need to be in your safe place if you find yourself in these locations. Again, Gar Creek, we have St. Paul's Baptist Church, Camp Creek Hunting Club, Cedar Creek Road, Cedar Creek Tackle. So in those locations, you definitely need to be in your storm shelter. Hoke Road and Droopy Lane as well. So we're continuing to monitor this severe thunderstorm warned cell or tornado warned cell as it continues to push across into Lancaster County here in South Carolina, just outside of Great Falls. So again, this is just passed over Great Falls Lake, the Mountain Island area. Now it's going to be in the Cedar Creek, more of a rural location of Lancaster County, but still nonetheless, you need to be in your safe place. Again, Heath Spring, you need to be in your safe place. Kershaw and Westville, you need to be in your storm shelter, your storm safe place as this tornado warning cell continues to move off in your direction. So again, kind of see the hail right here. This is along Highway 200, just south of Springdale, between Springdale, Heath Springs. Again, the rotation is going to bring it near Heath Springs here in the next few minutes, and then eventually Kershaw. So you need to be in your storm safe place if you live in Kershaw or Heath Springs. Again, this tornado warning continues until 7:30, so another 25 minutes or so. This severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Great Falls, or 12 miles south of Lancaster, moving to the east at 40 miles per hour. Again, looking through some of the storm reports here, don't really see anything yet from the storm via the weather service here. Going to continue to monitor that. Looking through the Twitter feed here, see if we have anything continuing in those social media platforms. I don't see anything being tweeted at us, but again, we are continuing to watch this tornado warning as it continues to move out of Great Falls and eventually into Heath Springs. So again, rotation looks like it's tightening up just a little bit more as it's moving just outside of Great Falls. So we will continue to watch that here on radar. I'll show you that rotation right here. So if you live in Heath Springs in this area, along Highway 97, this is going to be moving into your area. Heath Springs, you need to be in your storm safe place. This large hail threat is going to be moving in first. It's just on the outskirts of Heath Springs. So if you live in Heath Springs, we do have that large hail threat that's going to be moving into your area. Hopefully your cars are inside. Now's not the time to go get them as this rotation is quickly moving to your to your area there in Heath Springs there in Lancaster County, and then eventually into Kershaw and Westville communities there in Lancaster County, South Carolina. So again, Kershaw and Heath Springs, you need to go ahead and be in your safe place. Hopefully you're already there, but you need to be in those safe place as this tornado warning cell continues to move into your areas. Looking through your comments here, Kelly's asking about Camden, South Carolina. Right now, you are fine. The cell's moving to your north there in Camden. So I would just keep an eye on it. But right now, that tornado warning cell should be staying to your north. I don't see it dropping that far south in Kershaw County. So again, Kershaw County, the Westville community, Kershaw, the city of or town of Kershaw and Heath Springs, you are under the gun right now with this potential tornado warning system. Heath Springs, you need to be there now in your storm's safe place. Kershaw, you need to be getting there. Large hail about to move through the Heath Springs area, and then we'll have to see this rotation as it passes through what happens with it. So again, looking downstream, McBee, Bethune, and Cassett. We'll keep our eyes on this storm as well as Hartsville and Patrick. And Jefferson will continue to watch that. But again, Kershaw County and Lancaster County, you need to be in your safe places right now as the storm continues to push off to the east at around 40 to 45 miles per hour. Looking through, Eric is talking about any debris signatures. We can pull up the CCs. Let's see if we see any CC drop here. Maybe a little bit right in this area. So let's go back through here. We'll see. It's kind of messy. Play it out here. We'll see. Maybe a little bit of CC drop. We'll see. Kind of in a messy location again. Radar sites few and far between in this part of the world, so not the best radar coverage area for a system to be moving into, but nonetheless we'll work with what we got. So Paul is watching from Sumter County, so we appreciate that, Paul. We'll continue to watch your area, but again, right now the lone tornado warning that we have is in Kershaw County, and this is going to be moving into Heath Springs now. You're probably getting some hail developing in Heath Springs. Kershaw, you need to be there. We see a lot of lightning uptick. That tells us the storm's starting to strengthen back up. I'm going to go back to our velocities here. So again, we're starting to see this storm kind of pick back up as it continues to move towards Heath Springs. So Heath Springs, you're probably seeing some hail fall out in your area just south of Elgin. Kershaw, you are next to see the potential of a tornado moving in your area. So you need to go ahead and be in your safe place right now. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. The most centralized location of your home. If you have a basement, great, that's where you need to be. But if you don't, you want to be in the most centralized, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Have some sort of protection for your head, preferably a helmet, maybe some goggles. Keep your eyes protected. Make sure you have some shoes on, so if there is any debris and you have to walk outside, you don't get injured by any of that debris. So again, we are watching this storm continue to move towards Heath Springs. You are seeing a lot of hail right now, probably. Just looking at this radar return, you're getting pelted with large hail right now. Kershaw, you need to be in your safe place as this tornado and Westville as well as Heath Springs. So those three locations in Kershaw County need to be, and Lancaster County need to be in your safe place as this tornado warning storm continues to push off to the east around 40 miles per hour. So look at that. While you're looking at radar, I'm going to scroll through our Twitter feed here, See if we have any tweets coming in from any of you all who are watching or any of our friends out in the field. Um, Looking at some large hail, large hail there in Chester, South Carolina, as that storm moved through the area. So again, looking again through this, somebody tweets out another day, another tornado in the upstate of South Carolina. That seems to be the MO here lately with this portion of the upstate of South Carolina. So again, I don't really see any pictures or any damage reports coming out of this area. I'll continue to monitor the Twitter feed to see if we see anything. But again, pretty brutal storm moving into the Heath Springs. Some large hail moving into that area, and then eventually Kershaw. You're going to see this rotation pass awful close to you as this cell continues to move off to the east. And it looks like it's even got a little bit of south motion to it, maybe. So we'll say east-southeast at around 40 to 45 miles per hour. So we'll continue to monitor that. Westville, you need to be on guard. We're going to watch this storm as it continues to move. You are in the tornado warning on the outer periphery of it. So you need to go ahead and be gathering up your friends, and if you have any or family in your home, and start heading towards your safe place. So again, Heath Springs, you're seeing probably a large swath of large hail here along Highway 521 in Heath Springs. So if you live in the Charlotte area, and you like to travel to Myrtle Beach, this is one of those areas that you drive through. So again, 521 along 521 in Heath Springs, you're likely seeing some fairly large hail fall. Kershaw, the rain is about to approach you, and then we're watching this dry slot area. This is where we see the inflow of the winds, and then we'll see the rear flank downdrafts with the very high winds. So that's our rotation right here as it's moving just south of Heath Springs. So as we're trying to pull off of the Columbia radar as well as the Greenville radar. Let me monitor the weather service over here in the Columbia area. So they're going to go with the severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible tag in Chesterfield, Kershaw, and Lancaster counties until 8 o'clock. So this tornado warning will go until 7:30, and then the severe thunderstorm warning will go until 8 o'clock. So we'll see if they allow this warning to continue since they just issued the tornado warning or the severe thunderstorm warning. Doesn't look to be as impressive with radar or with rotation. Again, some pretty significant large hail moving into Heath Springs as well as the Kershaw area eventually. So we would definitely be on guard there in Kershaw as this storm continues to move to your area. Looking through your comments here, Blair's talking about Chris is out there. Yeah, we've been monitoring Chris on Twitter. I've heard a few funnel cloud reports, but I've not heard of any confirmed damage in between the Greenville, South Carolina weather office nor the Columbia office. So I can't confirm any tornadic wind damage, but we are watching this tornado warning cell as it continues to move. So what the Weather Service has done is they've issued this severe thunderstorm warning for Chesterfield County and McBee with the tornado tag possible. That's going to allow this tornado warning, this cell to they're going to give this cell a couple more minutes to see any upticks or downticks in the cell. And then eventually this severe thunderstorm warning could go into a tornado warning. So we'll continue to monitor that. But if you are in Heath Springs, that large hail threat moving in your area now, Kershaw, you live in the northern portions of Kershaw, the town of Kershaw, the large hail moving into your area now. So hopefully you've got your cars inside You need to be inside in your safe place as this cell continues to move off into your area. Cheryl is asking if there's any indications right now that the system is going to develop to the south of the system. Um, no indications right now that the system's going to develop south, but we'll watch that. So if you live in Camden, I think you're good for right now. We'll continue to watch that, but Camden, you are good for the moment. Right now, we are focusing on Heath Springs and Kershaw as this tornado warning system continues to move into those areas. Again, large hail right now affecting the Heath Springs area as well as Kershaw, at least the northern parts of the town of Kershaw. Again, inch and a half diameter hail possible. We've seen numerous reports of golf ball, ping pong size, even some baseball size hail. I see Evan Fisher joining in. We have had a few reports of some funnel clouds, but again, no wind damage or no tornado confirmed reports as this supercell continues to move into the Kershaw County or Kershaw area of Kershaw County. So again, looking at that, looking back over the upstate, we do have one severe thunderstorm warning over Spartanburg County. We'll look at that, but we want to continue to watch this tornado warning system. I think, is Evan up? You up, Evan? Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you, Scotty.
All right, so Evan Fisher joining us. Evan, we've watched this storm track at least from the upstate into now the PeeDee area of South Carolina, and it's continued to hold on to this this kind of appendage in the supercell. Again, Evan, no reports of a tornado, but several reports of some funnel cloud on a lot of large hail from the system.
Yeah, it's really a busy evening across the South, especially South Carolina, but Carolinas in general. You just said baseball-sized hail potential, tornado potential here, as well as one of the things I'm kind of paying attention to is the flooding threat, especially all across upstate South Carolina. It's just training thunderstorms, some of them severe, even tornado warned. So there's a lot of different severe modes that we're paying attention to this evening. And Scotty, I'm sure you've been all over them. I'll settle in and figure out what you've been talking about as we go over the next few minutes.
Yeah, definitely. We've been following this storm. I do want to. I think I just talked about a little bit ago. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning in the upstate of South Carolina. I don't want you to think we're ignoring you there in Spartanburg County, but we are kind of got our attention on what's going on here in Kershaw County. Looking again through some of the reports here, you continue to see the radar, but looking through some of these reports, again, the Columbia office has issued that severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible tag for Chesterfield, Kershaw, and Lancaster County until 8 o'clock. They're going to see what this storm does as it continues to move through Kershaw County and then kind of go from there. That's what we saw as the storm moved into the Columbia jurisdiction. They first issued the severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado tag possible, and then eventually issued the tornado warning. So we'll watch that again. Looking through the chat here at the Weather Service and through Twitter. Again, no wind damage reports, Evan, but like you said a little bit earlier, there's been a lot of large hail reports with this system.
Absolutely. We'll see, over the next few minutes if that tornado warning gets expanded to cover the next portion. The next area is up to the east and southeast of Westville, South Carolina. Hopefully, we get lucky and there is no tornado confirmed from this. And certainly, I would expect to see some wind damage, even though we haven't seen the reports yet. There's going to be some latency with that. This is a monster supercell, absolutely massive, especially by South Carolina standards. And coming out of an area that has been hit hard over the last 3 to 4 weeks. This is the 4th week in a row, I believe, with tornado warnings in this area. I couldn't even begin to tell you how many warnings have been issued. It's dozens and dozens. So certainly we're hoping and praying that this area is not affected by a tornado, but this area right here that we're watching. Scotty, could you read the city names to catch me up on that, the cities that are underneath this warning?
Yeah, sure. Let me pull it up right quick and I'll let you know. We have the cities of, we have Heath Springs, Lake Watery Dam, also Kershaw and Westville, some of the more towns. This is, again, a more rural part of South Carolina, a lot of farmland down in this area. But again, the towns of Kershaw, Westville, Lake Watery and Heath Springs in this tornado warning, and eventually into the McBee area. And if you're familiar with that area, if you travel from Myrtle Beach into the Charlotte area, there's the big peach farm there that a lot of folks like to stop at. So that's a popular stopping resting point from your travels from Myrtle Beach back into the Charlotte area. So that's McBee is under the severe thunderstorm warning, but we are monitoring the potential of that rotation moving into your area. So again, hell. And Evan, you were talking about that. I'm going to turn off my screen for just a second. So if you want to put something up, you can. But we were talking about the potential uh, of these storms. We've been watching it over the last couple of days. I just saw a tweet a little bit ago, another supercell in upstate South Carolina. So it seems like it's been a broken record over the last, I don't know, 2-3 weeks of seeing rounds and rounds of supercells. And as of a couple of days ago, South Carolina was number 3 in the country with the most confirmed tornadoes at 19. We'll have to see if any of those numbers get upped after this event, Evan.
Yeah, and Scotty, I'll share my screen here, but there are a few cells behind this main tornado warning cell that we want to keep an eye on, just maybe over the next 30 minutes. But we've got some cells south of Rock Hill and east of Greenville that are kind of trailing behind this main supercell. And initially, you're looking at them, it doesn't seem like there's no defined echo or hook echo like we're seeing on a leading parent storm. But as we just get an update now, we can flip over to velocity and see that there are some broad areas of rotation right in here, as well as right back in here. So we're going to watch these over the next 20 to 30 minutes. Obviously, at this moment, all of our focus is on the leading tornado warning storm approaching McBee over the next 20 to 30 minutes, but immediately approaching Kershaw. Matter of fact, probably over Kershaw right now and just having passed Heath Springs. So Heath Springs, Great Falls, you guys are probably in the clear. You guys are in the clear from this tornado. It has moved to your south and east. But Kershaw, you're under the gun right now, as well as McBee, Bethune. Just because you aren't in the tornado warning doesn't mean that this isn't a very viable risk. This tornado warning will potentially be expanded to include your area over the next 5 to 10 minutes. So definitely keep a lookout and be prepared to seek shelter in the next 10 to 15 minutes if that tornado warning is reissued.
Yes, I was updating the title of our Facebook here so folks could see that we are covering tornado warnings instead of severe weather cut-in. Went hectic there for a little bit. So yeah, Evan, watching this system again, I would not be surprised here in the next few minutes. And like we talk about a lot here on our program, this is kind of a no man radar zone. It seems like that's where all these systems want to develop. So again, radar coverage we're pulling from the Columbia office, and then eventually the Wilmington and Raleigh office as well. So we're kind of in that messy area. We don't have the best radar coverage of these storms. But again, McBee, eventually into Hartsville, you want to watch this storm. But Kershaw, you definitely need to be in your storm plate or storm shelter right now as this storm continues to move into your area. This is, again, a nasty supercell. And it looks like, Evan, over the last few radar scans, is really starting to tighten up once again as it continues to move in. So I really don't see this severe thunderstorm warning sticking out. I think it'll be transitioned to a tornado warning because it really looks like it's starting to wrap up again there along Highway 521 between Kershaw and Westville.
And Scotty, for the listeners who maybe don't know where your safe space is, it's going to be either the lowest level of your house or the most interior room, preferably both, the most interior room and the lowest level of your house. Basements are obviously great here, a bathroom in your basement. You want to make sure that there's no windows in the room that you're in. And if the storm is approaching and you're in a mobile manufactured home, you want to make sure that you're getting to better shelter because mobile manufactured homes are quite dangerous in a storm like this with definitely high winds as well as a potential tornado. So make sure you're getting into a safe space anywhere in Kershaw County, and even further to the east here, Scotty. Let's pull up the severe thunderstorm warning just to get an idea of the counties. So this is going to include southeastern Lancaster County, central Chesterfield, as well as northeastern Kershaw County. So Kershaw County, that is where it is moving out of right now and moving towards central Chesterfield and southeastern Lancaster, which actually southeastern Lancaster, you guys are probably north of the tornado warning, but Chesterfield, Kershaw County, so you guys are under the gun right now.
Yes, and while you're talking, I was looking at the Wilmington Weather Office, which I think will be the next jurisdiction, this next office that will take over any warnings. So they are also monitoring this and talking about even portions that this could actually kind of collide with the sea breeze boundary. So we'll have to watch that as well as this storm continues to move into the PeeDee area. I guess one good thing is it's moving into a more rural location. I've got Google Maps pulled up here. Mount Pisgah, Highway 157, Highway 346, Highway 903, and Highway 151. Bethune Road as well, all in the path of this storm track as it continues to move off to the east at around 40 miles per hour. So we are watching this system. Again, this is the lone tornado warning. We do have a few severe thunderstorm warnings over the upstate of South Carolina. But again, we're looking at the temperatures down in this area. We're looking at anywhere between Lancaster is 64 degrees, and then looking at Camden, which is just to the south of Kershaw, and Hartsville, those temperatures are near 80 degrees. So that's kind of where that boundary is located between the more cooler, stable air over the Piedmont of North Carolina and the more warm, juicy, unstable air along the PeeDee and the coastal areas of South Carolina. So that's kind of where this supercell is kind of just anchored on this boundary and continues to ride off to the east around 40 miles per hour. So we at one time thought from some of the models that this boundary would actually move up into more into North Carolina, but it looks like it's going to continue to stay over South Carolina. Evan, you've got the radar there in motion, and again, definitely looks like that cell is really starting to tighten up in the rotation, and it's getting ready to move over. I'm sure we'll see a tornado warning here issued shortly, because that radar just on radar, it looks like that warning has to continue almost.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting things about this cell in particular, and if we I'll zoom back out to the area that I was looking at before, but this tornado warning cell is traveling more southeast than east, as opposed to all of the other severe storms in upstate South Carolina and the non-severe storms near Chester, Rock Hill, and south of Charlotte. Everything else is moving east, but this single cell is moving to the southeast, a bit of a right turner, and that is oftentimes indicative of an incredibly dangerous, potentially tornadic storm, which is exactly what we're seeing here. One of the things while you were talking, Scotty, that I was noticing is some weak rotation to the north near Chesterfield. So I'll pause this all the way forwards. You can see a few areas up here to the south and west of Chesterfield, South Carolina. Let's see if we zoom in and get a couple of city names. There's no well-defined circulation here. There is no warning, not even a severe thunderstorm warning, severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings here. But we're gonna have to watch that area closely. And moving back to the south, kind of talking about just the main tornado warned area. At the moment, the circulation appears to have outrun the tornado warning. So if that is going to be reissued, it's going to be reissued very shortly in the next minute or two. But it has now moved east of Kershaw and into the severe thunderstorm warning that it's approaching McPhee, South Carolina, Bethune, and eventually you're still outside of the warning, severe thunderstorm warning for now, Hartsville, but it is heading your way over the next. Pull up the timeline here. So by a little bit before 8 p.m., that's when you guys are going to be looking at it. So give it 30 minutes in Hartsville, you guys are going to be under the gun from the storm as well. And it is moving southeast. It says east, but it's really, if you watch the transition of the last 30 minutes or so progression, this thing really is moving southeast more than east.
Yeah, Evan, that tornado warning expires at 7:30. I think we're right at 7:30 right now. So I don't see anything.
It just expired.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just expired. So they are not going to continue. They've got this is the Columbia Weather Service office. They have the severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado attack possible. We'll hang out for a little bit because it still looks like it could spin up something. So we'll continue to monitor this. If I'm in McBee, I'm in my safe place. I'm in my storm shelter, underground or most centralized part of my home because I don't want to mess with this storm. And again, Camden, I know we've got a few folks watching from Camden. We've been asked about that. Lugoff, you guys should be okay. I don't see that storm making it that far south, so you'll be okay. But if you live in Hartsville, Darlington, you want to keep your eye, eventually Florence, you want to keep your eye on this cell as well. But again, Evan is looping the radar here, and you can kind of see the evolution of this system as it continues to push off to the east and southeast. I just heard maybe a potential tornado warning issued. Okay, so they have expired the tornado warning. They are not going to continue it. So we'll continue to watch this just for the next little bit to make sure that nothing crazy happens as well. So while we have that, while we have this break, Evan, you want to keep that radar up? I'm going to look up here at the upstate and see what's going on up here.
Okay.
I know that we did have that one tornado or that one severe thunderstorm warning here in Greenville and Spartanburg County. So I'm going to check in on that. I've got
I want to hop in real quick just for a note on the Camden Lugoff people. You guys are definitely well south of the supercell and well south of the rotation. Doesn't mean that you're in the clear for lightning strikes, but if you're underneath the shelter or in a safe space or if there's no lightning around, you're not hearing any thunder, Wisconsin could be a great place to go outside and look at the storm. You guys are in a beautiful location to see the updraft of this thing, and it should be quite tall. So that's a decent idea while you're safe and away from the storm.
Yeah, with the sun setting in the next 30 to 45 minutes, you should see some pretty colors as well. Looking at that severe thunderstorm warning, that is for portions of Cherokee County near the Jonesville area. That's actually going to be moving into more of the Sharon area and Hickory Grove here in, I think this is York County. York County in the next little bit. It's kind of a little Bowen segment there. So some damaging winds possible in that area here in the upstate with that severe thunderstorm warning. So again, looking at the Columbia office, they're continuing the severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado attack possible. Again, hail up to 1.25 inches in diameter. I don't have that scale with me right off the top of my head, but that's about ping pong ball size hail that could be falling out of that storm. So you definitely want to make sure that you're away from windows. If you got 60-mile-per-hour wind and ping pong ball size hail flying, it definitely could knock out some windows and do some damage. So you definitely want to keep in the most centralized part of your home as that storm continues to roll through your area.
Yeah, and Scotty, as we're looking at a severe thunderstorm warning now and not a tornado warning, I'm just going to read the details of this for anyone who's new to the stream or who's wondering why the tornado warning has not been continued. This is what we're looking at right now. So as of 7:33 p.m., it was located near Mount Pisgah, about 19 miles northeast of Lake Wateree Dam. This thing is moving east with a little bit of a southeast tendency at 40 miles per hour. Main hazards here at the moment are 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and $50, potentially ping pong ball sized hail. But Scott, as you were just mentioning, if you scroll to the bottom, there is a tornado possible tag right down in this area. So 1.25-inch hail, that's roughly $50, like this morning said. Areas that are going to be impacted over the next 30 minutes. Let's see how much longer is this in effect. This is in effect until 8 p.m. So over the next 30 minutes, locations impacted include Carolina Sandhills Wildlife Refuge, Westville, Mount Pisgah, McBee, Jefferson, Bethune, North Central High School, Alligator Fire Station, Middendorf, and Bay Springs Fire Station. Scotty, several of those names that I just read off are the areas that we've been talking about over the last few minutes. And despite the fact that there is no tornado warning in place, it may not be a bad idea to go ahead and head to your safe space, just because there is still some broad rotation with this storm. And either way, you do not want to be caught outside in this thing, as there is a serious hail, lightning, and wind threats. All three of those, you need to be inside, and if you want to be safe, definitely go to an interior room or the lowest level of your house. There is no tornado warning, once again, just to reiterate that. But with broad rotation, that is better to be safe than sorry.
Definitely so. Evan, getting a report in the Columbia Weather Office chat that there was a tree down in the Kershaw area of Lancaster County. So just one, I guess, one single tree. It says a tree down. So a tree down in Lancaster County with hail up to 3/4 an inch in diameter. So that's a little smaller than a quarter, maybe around nickel size hail. So that is from the storm that moved through the Kershaw County area just a few minutes ago. So we are continuing to watch this storm. Again, kind of to repeat, overall, a severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect until 11 p.m. For much of the northern portions and central portions of South Carolina. Also includes a small portion of locations south of Interstate 40 in North Carolina. And that severe thunderstorm watch continues until 11 o'clock. So we will monitor that threat. Looking over at the overall threat right now, besides this storm that we've been following, that is now currently severe warned, we do have one more severe thunderstorm warning that is up in the upstate of South Carolina. Trying to get the info to pull up about it. That goes for another 7 minutes. It includes Spartanburg, Cherokee, and Union County, South Carolina, for the potential of ping pong ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Some of the locations that could be impacted would be Croft State Park, Cedar Springs, Pauline, Thickety, Cowpens, and Spartanburg as the storm continues to push off to the east around 45 miles per hour. So that's the severe thunderstorm warning in the upstate. And then we have the severe thunderstorm warning ongoing here in the PeeDee region of South Carolina, moving into McBee. So, Evan, this is a more unstable environment. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these storms as they move into the PeeDee kind of perk up a little bit.
Yeah, and Scott, I think we'd be remiss if we just ignored all of the unwarned subsevere storms between these two warnings. Just because, every single one of these that you're looking at on the radar right now with the dark red, even purple cores, are capable of producing strong wind gusts. They're still subsevere, but it doesn't take 56 or 57 mile-an-hour winds to do damage. You can have tree damage, and with tree damage, risk of injury with tree falling on your home with 40, 45 mile-an-hour winds, especially with the saturated soil, which many of these areas have, as we've had heavy rains over the last 45 minutes to an hour, as well as in the very center and the cores of some of these smaller storms. You may get some very small hail, nothing big enough to do damage, certainly. But like I said, Scott, we'd be remiss if we just ignore those, because there is still a subsevere threat with these smaller non-warned cells. I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I was on mute. And they all have the potential to produce a little bit of, it may not be large hail, but they all have the potential of producing some hail as well, because of the atmosphere loft is much cooler. And so it kind of brings in the potential for that hail and some gusty winds out there, like you said, Evan. And this is an area of the upstate last night that was hit hard by severe thunderstorms. In fact, I even think we had a tornado warning issued for, I want to say it was Greenville County, I believe. And a lot of pictures of like baseball size hail, golf ball size hail. So this area's been worked over last night and then again today. But again, this storm moving into McBee and then eventually into Hartsville and Darlington. We need to continue to monitor that. There is a tornado attack possible. And you can kind of see those darker colors. That's where that larger hail threat is possible there, getting ready to move into the McBee area. So that large hail threat that Evan is drawing out, that's got its crosshairs on McBee and then eventually Hartsville. So definitely some large hail that could fall into that area. So you want to make sure McBee, you may have a few minutes to get your car inside. Hartsville, you do have some time to get your car inside. Anything else that may be damaged by the hail You want to make sure that you try to get it as protected as possible, because that could do some damage to vehicles and anything left out in its path. So we're watching that. And then, like Evan said, we've got numerous storms over the upstate as this warm front and kind of cold front continue to move through. And Evan, to steer away from the severe weather threat for just a minute, we're going to see some pretty unseasonably cold temperatures move into the area tonight. And then eventually, if you live in the highest elevations, you could see a little bit of snowfall tonight into early tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and there's certainly the potential for us to see temperatures even down into the upper 30s in areas of the French Broad Valley, elevations above 2,000, really 2,500 feet if you want a better shot at the 30s. But you're right, Scotty, Wednesday afternoon, we're going to start, there's going to be an uptick in moisture coming from the northwest. And as that flow kind of counter or interacts with the western edge of the Blue Ridge of the southern Appalachians over Tennessee, is going to rise and condensate, and we're going to see some northwest flow snow showers above 5,000 feet roughly, with potential for some light accumulations, especially above 5,500 feet. And this is just going to be the first round. We've got another round coming in, another cold front moving in later in the weekend, and we'll see more snow in the same exact areas Friday evening into Saturday morning, as well as the coldest temperatures, being really some of the coldest May temperatures in many, many years. And we'll see those temperatures on Saturday morning and Sunday morning. And some areas could even get down as low as 32 degrees or freezing. And we could see some isolated patchy frost Sunday morning on Mother's Day. So this is certainly a very weird setup for May, Scotty. It's not usual that we get 2 days, 2 back-to-back days of tornado warnings in upstate, followed by a day of snow, followed by 2 more days of cold and another day of snow. That we might expect to see that in March, but certainly not early May.
No, I guess we're all thinking, where was this in January and February? I mean, it's definitely would have been ideal for that. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of goes with 2020. 2020 has been a crazy year anyway. So why should the weather not be any different? So continuing that, we do see a new severe thunderstorm warning. You kind of see that Evan's got the storm total up. You kind of see the path of that the storms that have been taken, and that's what we call training of cells. And Evan, that's well, I think you had, what was that, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain?
Nearly 4 inches, if not a little bit more than 4 inches over parts of Spartanburg County, just to the east of Greer.
Yeah, that's so Evan was talking about the flood threat as well, as we continue to see storms train over the same areas, especially in the upstate of South Carolina. We'll have to watch that threat, because these are some heavy downpours and more moisture in the air in South Carolina. So it's going to squeeze out a little bit more rainfall and cause that flood threat. So again, looking at this severe thunderstorm warning, again, we're in kind of that messy area for radar coverage. We're going from the Columbia office eventually to the Wilmington radar. Will pick up this cell. So again, if you live in the North Hartsville, McBee area, you want to make sure that you are watching this storm, because it definitely has a health threat. We're still the potential of a brief tornado possible with this storm. Looks like we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning back over the upstate. That's going to go for Rock Hill, and then eventually back into Lancaster. So kind of training of severe thunderstorms location over location. So Evan, you got that pulled up. So let's see what's with the threat with this severe thunderstorm.
Yeah, I'll pull up the details here, Scotty, and we'll read them off real quick. As this is a brand new warning, if my computer will cooperate. Let's see, there we go. Okay, so this will expire in 44 minutes so that it's in effect until 8:30 p.m. for portions of Chester County and York County. So northern Chester, southern York, you guys are under the gun for the severe thunderstorm warning. Our main threat here is 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. We can expect minor hail damage to vehicles, as well as wind damage to trees and power lines. We could see some power outages in this area. And as Scotty and I were just saying, with already saturated soils and anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rain having fallen in this area, strong winds can be even more dangerous than usual under these situations, just because loose soil makes it easier for trees to blow over. We do not have a tornado possible tag on this, so we really are just looking at 1-inch hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds as our primary threat. But some locations that are going to be impacted by this include Rock Hill, Leslie, Fort Lawn, Sharon, McConnell's, Lowry's, Catawba, Edgemore, Bullock Creek, and Richburg. So all of the cities that I just named, you guys are going to be affected by this storm between now and 8:30 p.m. So over the next 30 minutes. This is moving a little bit faster than the storm that we saw, a previously tornado warning storm, which is now severe thunderstorm warning down near Bethune and McBee. This thing is moving east at 50 miles an hour as opposed to east at 40 miles an hour. So we will expect, a faster approach in some of the locations that we just mentioned. But Scotty, I'm going to click off of that for a second and look just to the south, kind of south of Richburg and Chester. There was a cell that had caught my attention on reflectivity. I like to look at it on velocity as well, just to see if there's any rotation. And to give you an idea of where I'm looking, it's going to be this area right here. There was a little bit of a hook echo for 2 scans, and still a rather weird one for the 3rd scan currently. There is some very broad, very weak rotation in there, so we may want to watch that over the next 20 minutes and see if that gets some kind of warning, whether that be tornado or severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, I was trying to, for some reason, my one of my radar programs, the data for the radar is not working very well. But I wanted to show you the dew points and kind of show you why this area is a little bit more prone to the severe weather than, let's say, the Piedmont areas of North Carolina. So let me get this up and going. Got the dew points up here. So you can kind of see this area, the location that we are watching is in the 60s, mid to low 60s, which is, again, not too favorable. You'd want to see more like 66 to 70 dew point environments for some severe storms. But up here in the Piedmont Interstate 40 corridor, we still have dew points in the low 50s. So that's just not conducive enough for severe weather. Looking back here, and I'm going to turn the winds on for a little bit, you kind of see these more westerly, northwesterly winds. So I think the cold front looks to be entering the North Carolina mountains about right now. So eventually that'll all kind of push all of this weather out to the east. So with that front moving through, we could see an uptick of some showers, maybe on a thunderstorm along the Interstate 40 corridor in the North Carolina area. Again, I don't think it would be severe, but we could see that uptick. But again, that cold front moving into the mountains and eventually will be into the foothills and the Piedmont here in the next few hours. So we'll continue to watch that. Once that front moves through, your severe weather threat should be over with. But again, looking at the dew points here, this is why we're not seeing a lot of severe weather up here, because we have dew points that are in a more stable environment. So,
Scotty, I'm
yeah,
going
go
to
ahead.
continue on the same theme of that actually and bring up the meso analysis from the SPC just to look at that sea breeze that you were just mentioning. So hopefully it is loaded by now. You guys can see this may look kind of like a mess, but if you look down towards the coastal South Carolina area, and especially near the North Carolina-South Carolina line, just to the west of Wilmington, you can see that we've got winds out of the southeast, which is a little bit concerning. This is an area where the sea breeze front has already passed through and moved to the northwest. So I would say that that sea breeze front may actually be located somewhere between where the storm is, the leading storm that had the tornado warning. Where that is located now, that front is somewhere between the storm and Florence, South Carolina, as it looks like Florence currently has winds out of the southeast with 83-degree temperatures. So this is definitely an area for concern, and we'll need to watch it to see if this storm is able to get its act together again and potentially get some tidal rotation and prompt another tornado warning as it interacts with the sea breeze boundary. And Scotty, this storm is really in a perfect area to be feasting on some CAPE, some storm energy, storm fuel. It's currently in an area of 2,500 joules per kilogram of surface-based CAPE, which is a lot, and that's a good amount for the Carolinas, and certainly more than enough for a storm to feed on and to prolong itself. So there's not really anything, Scotty, that we're looking at over the next 30 minutes that's going to slow this storm down and weaken it necessarily. We're going to have to watch the interaction with this sea breeze front. But the storm is a beast, and it's been tracking through the northern portions of South Carolina for well over an hour now. So this is a long-lived supercell, has a history of tornado warnings, currently severe thunderstorm warned with some broader rotation. But we'll see how this plays out over the next 30 minutes, Scotty.
Yeah, definitely. So the Weather Service out of Wilmington issuing a severe thunderstorm warning now for the continuation of that storm. That's going to be for Darlington County, Marlboro County, and I can't remember. I think maybe even portions of Dillon County. We'll see this populate here in just the next few minutes, but they just issued this warning. So there it goes, the last frame. So here you can kind of see this new warning is going to continue for Darlington, Hartsville, and then Montclair. So in that areas, you need to be in your safe place because this does have a history of producing some large hail and some damaging winds. You can see the temperature there, 79 degrees, humidity 74, dew point 70. So that juicy air this storm moving into definitely could spawn some damaging winds with that system. So again, we'll move over to the Wilmington radar, kind of see what it looks like from this perspective. So you can kind of see, we'll have to watch that. There's that large hail threat moving into the McBee area. And again, we're looking pretty high up into the storm, even at the lowest level. You're looking at about 11,000 feet. So this is looking at pretty high into the storm. So again, not the best of what's going on at the ground level, but you can kind of see aloft, we have some pretty large hail that's up there. So we could definitely see that fall in McBee and then eventually into Hartsville, into Darlington County, and then eventually Darlington and the metropolitan area of Florence, South Carolina. So we'll continue to watch that, Evan. As this was the first supercell that kind of continued, that started in the upstate and has continued. And like you said, Evan, it's kind of going east southeast. It's making that little south or that right hand turn, and those are kind of classic with supercells that you see out in the plains, and we don't always see that here in the Carolinas. But South Carolina normally isn't running third in the tornado count either in the country, so that has to say a lot about what the severe weather has been like for the month of April, and it looks like going into the month of May.
Yeah, and Scotty, one important thing to note, and if you just said it, I apologize, but with this new severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued for Darlington and other cities, there is no tornado warning or no tornado possible tag on this. We're really just looking at the hail and wind threat at the moment. We'll see how that progresses, but hopefully that tornado threat has diminished and we'll stay gone, but certainly it's given its history, we need to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, some of the locations: Hartsville, Darlington, Timmonsville, Lamar, Northern Hartsville, Dovesville, Lydia, Darlington Raceway, Auburn, Swift Creek, Clyde, Oates, Floyd, Kellytown, Society Hill, and Carolina Pines Regional Medical Center there, just between Darlington and Florence. So those locations there, you need to be in your safe place because of damaging winds and the possibility of 1.25 inch in diameter hail. And that can create some damage to cars and anything else left out in the past. So Evan, kind of see this little string of severe thunderstorm warnings right here in the upstate. That's kind of, I guess that kind of solidifies where the boundary's at.
Yeah, absolutely. And matter of fact, is that a new severe thunderstorm warning? It is. On the cell that we were briefly looking at, matter of fact, I'll go ahead and share. But the cell that we were looking at that had a little bit of a hook echo, we were a little bit concerned about. We did just get a severe thunderstorm warning on that for Heath Springs and Kershaw. Once again, it's only been 15, 20 minutes since the storm moved out. The first storm moved out. You guys are once again in another severe thunderstorm warning. I'll flip over to some reflectivity data so we can get a better idea. This actually seems to be a bit of a preemptive severe thunderstorm warning. It appears that the worst of this storm has not yet entered into that warning. But this right here, and I'll give it a circle, is a cell that we're watching. We're going to see that thing moving to the east over the next 20 to 30 minutes. Matter of fact, we just got to scan in. Look at the rotation. just because that is one of the things that we're worried about. It is a severe thunderstorm warning, so there is no tornado indicated on the radar, but nonetheless, we want to keep an eye on the rotation. And you can see that there is some very weak, mild rotation right here, just near to the north and west of Great Falls. But let's open up this warning and read some details and see what it's all about. So this warning is for Lancaster, but actually entirely in southern Lancaster County in central South Carolina. It'll be in effect until 7:51. At 7:51, or I'm sorry, until 8:30 p.m. At 7:51 p.m., storm is located near Richburg, about 12 miles east of Chester. This thing is moving east at 45 miles per hour. Main risk at the moment, there are 60-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-sized hail. There is no tornado possible tag on this at the moment. If that updates, we'll let you know. But some locations, I'll read a few of these. I won't go through all of them. But Lancaster, Kershaw, Irwin, 40-Acre Rock Preserve, Pleasant Hill, Bear Creek Park, and Lancaster Mill. All of you guys are under that warning. For some areas in between all of those little spots, you guys all need to be paying attention to the severe thunderstorm that is moving into your area with the potential for quarter-sized hail and strong damaging winds.
And Evan, looking at that cold front, I'm going to steal your screen for just a second
Go
here.
for it.
And we got the radar scope pulled up. And this is the cold front moving through Tennessee. So we do have that lone severe thunderstorm warning in eastern Tennessee. But this is going to be moving into places like Ashe County, Watauga County, eventually into the mountains of North Carolina. So we could see an uptick in showers and thunderstorms there as this front moves through. So we'll want to watch that as you can kind of see this line of storms developing along the cold front here in East Tennessee as it continues to push through the area. So you likely could see some showers, maybe even a thunderstorm here in the next hour or so in the Asheville area as this front moves into the mountains. So we'll continue to monitor that as well. One good thing, Evan, is it's about 8 o'clock, so we're going to start to lose some of that daylight heating that these storms like to get fueled by. So that's why maybe not see anything at all, but if we do, it should be fairly garden variety here in the North Carolina area as this front moves into the area.
Yeah, Scott, there's another severe thunderstorm warning that's currently located in Georgia, but it is butting up against the South Carolina state line. And I'll throw my screen up here and I'll let you all take a peek at it because it is going to be moving into South Carolina shortly, if not at the moment. We can see here that kind of the brunt of the cell where the area of most concern for hail and damaging winds appears to be right over the Georgia-South Carolina border right now, just to the east of Reed Creek. And not too far away from Anderson, South Carolina, which is a bigger metropolis in the area. I will pull up this warning set to expire in 15 minutes. As of 16 minutes ago, it was located north of Carnesville, but that is pretty outdated. So right now we're looking just to the east of Reed Creek, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, quarter-sized hail. All of this is radar indicated, but there is a potential for some minor hail damage to vehicles, as well as some tree damage and power lines down. So we'll watch that over the next few minutes as it begins to move into South Carolina. And actually, I'll go ahead and animate this just so you guys can get an idea for how this storm is moving and Anderson, what you guys will be looking at. And yeah, as this animates, Scotty, this might be another example of some more southeast motion than strictly east motion. These cells, yep, there it is. Okay, so definitely more southeast motion. Anderson, you guys are going to be seeing probably some moderate rain at the moment, as well as some stronger rain and potential for some gusty winds over the next 15 minutes. No warning for you guys at the moment. We'll see if that gets issued. My gut tells me that it won't, but we're definitely keeping an eye on this cell, as well as a few other cells in South Carolina. Scotty?
Yeah, Evan, looking through Twitter while you was talking there, Greg Suskin works for one of the TV stations in Charlotte, being told of some damage in Chester County towards the town of Great Falls from emergency management, saying a lot of large trees are down in that area. So that's where this tornado warning, this supercell kind of where it really started to get its act together. So we'll be interested to see if we get any more reports out of that area. We could see maybe a damage survey done in that area tomorrow. So that is some reports out of the Chester County from emergency management of some trees down there in the Great Falls community. So we'll continue to monitor that, and we just tweeted that report out. So we'll continue to monitor that and see if there's anything else that comes from that as well. So excuse me, looking at that storm over Tennessee. Uh, this storm's really looking pretty potent over the Tennessee. They're getting ready to move into Mitchell County, into Avery County, as well as Watauga. So we'll continue to monitor those storms. In fact, our colleague Ricky Matthews, who is working tonight on TV, he just tweeted out that we could see maybe a warning issued for Irwin, Tennessee, as that cell continues to move in from Tennessee as that cold front moves through the area. So, looking wide scale again, several warnings taking place in the upstate of South Carolina. We still continuing to monitor the cell that is over McBee, moving into Hartsville. So that is the first supercell we got. Then we have numerous warnings in the upstate. And I don't know, Evan. It's these storms. They don't know really state boundaries or state lines or county lines, but goodness gracious, it seems like this year it's right along the North Carolina, South Carolina line where all these storms just have fired this I guess since back in late March, early April. I mean, that's just where all these storms continue to fire. And again, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 5 if that next warning gets pushed into Oconee County again in the upstate, and radar is showing a potentially some tornado velocity signatures as they kind of get these little squiggly lines there with these inflow notches.
Yeah, it's just a prolific heavy rain event across upstate or really northern South Carolina. And that's the last thing we need on top of all of the strong winds and hail threat because Scotty, we checked in about 10 minutes ago on some of the precipitation totals, but if we do so again, we'll pull up and obviously this is radar indicated or radar derived. So these storm totals, there is no ground truth to this. It's just kind of an estimate from the radar on how much rain has fallen over these areas. Make sure I'm on the right radar here. I am on Columbia, but you can see that there is a widespread 1+ inches, as well as some areas that could, in these yellows and purples, potentially exceeding 2 inches. And there is an area just outside of Spartanburg where it's showing 3+ inches. That may just be a radar artifact because that area is located so far away. But even switching back over to the GSP radar shows upwards of 4 inches in parts of Spartanburg County. So these storms are just training right now, and see if we can pull up the back edge, see who's in the clear from heavy rain and the warnings. So it looks like at the moment, the back edge of the storms and really of the precip is draped across North Carolina, South Carolina state line. But for those that are even slightly more to the south and east of that, so Spartanburg, Gaffney, Greenville, I'm going to hold off on Clemson just for a little bit longer. Gaffney, Spartanburg, Greenville, Shelby, you guys are pretty much in the clear for the severe weather at this moment. The line has moved to the south and to the east of you. Clemson, you guys might just catch one more patch of moderate rain, hopefully nothing severe. But Anderson, areas just south of Simpsonville, areas south of Rock Hill and Chesterfield counties, Holly Springs, there's just a huge line all the way across the state at the moment. Actually, we'll just for kicks and giggles, we'll grab the measuring tool and see. This is nearly 200 miles from one side of the state to the other side of the state. So just an absolutely prolific severe thunderstorm event for South Carolina.
Evan, while you was talking about that, looking in the NWS chat out of Columbia, storm spotters reported a large swath of trees down along Green Road and Cedar Creek Road. I believe this is the Heath Springs community in Lancaster County. Spotter believes it's tornado damage. There's also golf ball size hail in that location. Columbia said they are thinking about sending a survey team out tomorrow to investigate that. So at least potentially one survey crew going to be out and about in Lancaster County looking at the potential of a tornado that occurred in Lancaster County near Heath Springs. So we'll continue to monitor that as the storm reports continue to move in. Evan, I think there's been a storm survey in South Carolina almost every week in the month of April, and now it looks like it could continue into the first week of May as we continue to see these severe weather days stack up here in South Carolina.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the area that you were just mentioning, Scotty, with the potential tornado damage, Heath Springs, Kershaw, just to the east of Great Falls, you guys are currently once again under another severe thunderstorm warning for quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. No tornado possible tag on this warning. We do have a couple of small appendages here, so just something to watch over the next few minutes. But the areas that did see the golf ball-sized hail, as well as extensive tree damage near Heath Springs from the earlier tornado warning cell, which has now had the tornado warning removed and shifted off towards Hartsville. The areas that were affected by that are getting ready to get hit hard again, not quite as hard as the last storm, but certainly not something we want to see for an area that's trying to recover and trying to get their bearings after a severe thunderstorm and potential tornado.
Not at all, especially if your homes receive damage. You don't want any more rain or anything like that to move in. So just kind of recapping here, it's 8:08 p.m. Severe thunderstorm watch continues until 11 p.m. for portions of northern and central South Carolina, as well as the southern Piedmont of North Carolina. As this warm front kind of is draped across the North Carolina, South Carolina line, there is a cold front over eastern Tennessee that'll move in over the next few hours and kind of push all of this out into the eastern part of the Carolinas and then eventually off the coast. So see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 severe thunderstorm warnings, I think, right now for the upstate and the PeeDee region of South Carolina. Evans focused in on this cell that is moving into Hartsville and then eventually Darlington that potentially has some large hail with it, anywhere between quarter to maybe even a little bit larger, $half size hail with this storm. It's going to hit locations like Hartsville, Darlington, Timmonsville, Lamar, Darlington Raceway, Auburn, Swift Creek, Clyde, Oates, Floyd, Kellytown, and Carolina Pines Regional Medical Center. Again, some $half size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts moving with the storm. So you definitely want to be inside, away from windows as that storm continues to move through the area. Hail is not fun when it's blowing 60 miles an hour. It could definitely cause some damage or even some injury. Else looks like there's going to be a local storm report out momentarily for the damage report there in the Heath Springs area of South Carolina. But Evan, it's about 8:10. What do you want to do with coverage here?
I'd say we could probably step away for a little while.
Okay.
There's currently no tornado possible tags in any of these severe thunderstorm warnings. The heaviest hitting storm is located near Hartsville at the moment, with some large hail and damaging winds. And Scott, just to recap before we go off, we do still have severe thunderstorm warnings over parts of Union County, just to the south of Rock Hill. My radar has now frozen, which is indicative that maybe we should go ahead and wrap up. But this huge swath of storms is slowly tracking east across northern South Carolina. Watch out for flash flooding. There are no flash flood warnings at the moment, but some areas have certainly seen extensive amounts of precipitation over the last hour, and with still potentially more to come as these storms train to the east. So we'll keep an eye on this, and Scotty, I'll go back to you to finish this off.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll monitor the situation. Any other tornado warnings come out, we'll break back in. But again, just be mindful. Severe storms possible, especially in the upstate to the PeeDee region of South Carolina through the next few hours. And like Evan said, we'll monitor the radar. If we need to break back in, we will. But until then, hope you have a great evening and stay safe out there.